January 9th, 2026. Ukrainian FPV drones targeted Russian soldiers. Russian soldiers spotted in the Pokrovsk region were completely helpless against Ukraine's FPV drone attacks. Many soldiers were seen wandering alone on the front lines during the attacks, and numerous Russian soldiers lost their lives in this manner. Did you notice that some Russian soldiers didn't have weapons during the attacks? This is because Ukrainian forces constantly attack Russian supply lines. A Ukrainian FPV drone operator searches for targets at Russian military positions. Shortly after, a Russian soldier is spotted. The Russian soldier, walking alone in open terrain, becomes the drone's direct target. You can also see the Russian soldier carrying fuel in a bottle. This is evidence that Russian soldiers are receiving inadequate logistical support. Another Russian soldier in the same area was targeted by the drone. The soldier, realizing the drone was attacking, started firing, but he still couldn't escape the drone's impact. Look, he's firing repeatedly, but he can't hit it because the drone is so small. Look at the soldier trying to hide in the ruins. The FPV drone operator spotted the Russian soldier and immediately moved in to attack. The terrain where the soldier is located is quite bad. There is nowhere for him to hide here. The drone began to approach. The Russian soldier now noticed the drone. Panicking, the soldier immediately tried to take cover, but there was nowhere to take cover. The Ukrainian FPV drone launched a rapid attack with its explosive payload and struck the soldier. Look at the current state of the front. Winter has now fully set in and everything is covered in snow. Russian forces are now struggling to advance, but Ukrainian forces have gradually increased their attacks. A lone Russian soldier was spotted in such a place. They were likely spotted while returning to their hiding place, because they were carrying bottles filled with fuel. The drone launched an attack, and the Russian soldier became its target before he could even comprehend what was happening. A Russian FPV drone ambushes another Ukrainian drone operator. When the Ukrainian soldier goes outside to retrieve the drone, the Russian FPV drone attacks, but the Ukrainian soldier manages to get inside by a few seconds. An FPV drone entering an abandoned building detected a Russian soldier trying to hide behind a car. The Russian soldier panicked when he saw the drone and didn't know what to do. With nowhere to escape, the soldier became the drone's target. Russian soldiers are trying to hide by taking cover in various locations. However, this does not deter the FPV drone operators. Another abandoned place turned into ruins. An FPV drone operator checks to see if there are any Russian soldiers. Soon after, a Russian soldier trying to hide under a vehicle is caught on the drone's camera. Did you see the soldier trying to hide? The FPV drone, searching for a suitable position to attack, has completely cornered the Russian soldier. Before long, the drone crashes into the soldier. A Ukrainian FPV drone attacks a Russian military vehicle. When the vehicle encountered the drone, it immediately tried to turn around, but due to the icy road, it couldn't move and became the drone's target. This time, the target is a Russian soldier riding an ATV. The soldier, who noticed the drone, immediately got off the vehicle and tried to escape. However, he didn't have enough time to get away. Russian forces are attempting to advance in the Pokrovsk, Donetsk, Lyman, and Sumy regions, but they are constantly encountering drone attacks. Here are just a few of those attacks. It is clear that Russian soldiers are trying to advance with equipment and vehicles that are unsuitable for winter conditions. But why is this? Why aren't Russian forces providing new, modern vehicles and equipment to soldiers on the front lines? Look closely at the soldiers' situation. Russian soldiers under attack are panicking, not knowing what to do, and constantly trying to flee. Moreover, it is unclear exactly where these Russian soldiers are going on the front lines or what they are trying to do. They are only seen patrolling the front lines with their weapons. But what exactly is the reason for this? Is it a tactic? Russian forces continue to suffer constant troop losses, gradually losing their dominance in the region. Ukrainian soldiers encountered an FPV drone and shot it down like this. Russian forces launched a hypersonic missile attack on Ukraine's Lviv region. Despite the missile attack, no casualties have been reported by Ukrainian forces. A group of Russian soldiers was found hiding in abandoned houses. Attacks were immediately carried out on the houses using FPV drones. Russian soldiers aim to establish positions in such locations throughout the winter. Look at the Russian soldier caught on the drone's thermal camera. The soldier, who was moving around the front line completely camouflaged, still failed to hide. Ukrainian forces managed to infiltrate Russian positions in the Lyman region. Upon detecting Russian tanks, Ukrainian forces immediately launched an attack. The tanks, which were poorly camouflaged, were neutralized one by one using FPV drones and kamikaze drones. However, the tanks are generally older models, but it is not entirely clear which models they are. If you know which models these tanks are, you can share this information with us in the comments. Due to the tank's thick armor, multiple drone attacks are required. The number of drones used in the attacks is noteworthy. This also shows that Ukrainian forces have no shortage of drones. The logistics route used by Russian soldiers was attacked by drones. Many Russian military vehicles were targeted along the route. These vehicles were transporting ammunition, food, and various military supplies to the front lines. However, Ukraine's attacks are constantly disrupting this effort. Of course, vehicles are not the only targets of the attacks. Here is a military communications antenna. In order to prevent Russian soldiers from communicating with each other, many types of military equipment like this are also being rendered inoperable. The reason Russian soldiers lacked adequate equipment in the attacks you saw earlier is precisely these attacks. Frontline roads, especially around the Donetsk region, are constantly under Ukrainian forces' control. However, Russian forces continue to make the mistake of using the same routes, resulting in increasing losses. AT-72B tank is conducting an operation at close range against Russian soldiers. But what happens next is quite remarkable. The tank first fired repeatedly at the positions where Russian soldiers were located, maintaining its intense firepower. Ukrainian forces continue to fire at Russian soldiers with tank turrets. But isn't there any defense from the other side? Of course there is, but they will try a different method. A Russian drone attacks the tank, continuing its assault on the Russian position. But the first drone misses the tank. Did you hear the sound of the attack? Now, a second Russian FPV drone attack is coming, but this time, the drone hits the tank's turret. Despite this, the tank continued to perform its mission and then successfully withdrew under cover of fog. This attack took place in the Donetsk region, around the city of Siversk. This time, the attacks took place in the Donetsk region. When Russian forces lost their air defense systems in some areas, Ukrainian drones immediately took advantage of this and launched attacks. Attacks were carried out on positions that Russian forces considered to be the most secure. There are signal jammers against drones in these areas, but they are useless. This is because these attacks were carried out with fiber optic drones. Fiber optic drones are among the most effective attack drones on the front lines. Two Russian soldiers were spotted moving from one abandoned house to another. They were unaware they were being tracked by drones. A drone carrying high explosives was sent to their new location. The drone struck the location where the Russian soldiers were, causing a large explosion. Russian soldiers on motorcycles were again targeted by a drone attack. With winter fully setting in, Russian forces are being pushed deeper into a defensive posture. The cold limits movement, supply routes slow down, and holding existing positions becomes more important than attempting any large-scale advances. Trenches are reinforced, units are stretched thin, and the focus shifts to simply maintaining control through the winter. But this defensive turn has created an opening. Ukrainian forces are actively exploiting it. As Russian units dig in, Ukrainian drone activity intensifies. Reconnaissance drones expose defensive layouts, while strike drones target vehicles, supply points, and rotation routes. The goal isn't always an immediate breakthrough, it's constant disruption, preventing Russian forces from stabilizing, resupplying, or resting. Do you think Ukrainian forces will be able to recapture Russian-controlled territories during the winter? Share your thoughts in the comments.